And that is why 92% of all POCs today in the US are failing, because they're trying to use bad data and LLMs that are standardized or generalized, and that's like they're not able to deliver on a value or on a KPI for the business. And you own the checkout. That's like the airport. Like you have to check in, you have to show your password, you have to check like, your ticket, and all that information is in a central place. But no one is leveraging it to unlock growth or detect revenue leakages across the entire business.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another special live edition of Frogboxer. We are coming straight at you from Money 2020 here in Las Vegas. We are in the Venetian. It's a very big hotel. A lot happening. If you guys could introduce yourselves, let's talk about some stuff.
I'm Rex. I'm the founder and CEO at Deuna. Been doing this for the last few years, and very excited to be here with you guys and Jordan.
Who are you?
I'm Chase Foster, head of US at Deuna. Just teamed up with these guys a couple months ago, and really excited about the journey we're on.
So Chase has been on the show before. He was episode number 2, everybody. He talked about sales. Now he's doing sales over here. So happy to have you guys both on here. We are going to talk about data today, right? And what people are doing with data and AI and data, because I think everybody's tired of hearing about AI. Well, that's too bad, because it's still a very big thing. We got AI agents, we got Gen AI, we got all sorts of AI. Half the badges down there say AI in some way. But let's talk about data. Chase, when we were doing some prep for this about 3 minutes ago, you had a prompt.
Yeah.
We used to do this in real life, people. He had a prompt that got us talking.
It's true.
Let's prompt it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, like, okay, people don't want to hear about AI anymore, but I think most people really don't understand AI as much as they think they do.
I
right?
agree with that, 100%.
So I think that's like the number one thing, right? I think everybody should take a step back and truly understand what's happening. But we were talking about specifically was, data's the new gold, or data's one of the, if not the most valuable assets for a lot of businesses. But, vast amounts of data weren't always as valuable as they are today, now that we have the power of AI.
Like, there was a time when, obviously, to your point, like, nobody cared about data. It was just register, get people to buy stuff. And then we went through like that part in like 10 years ago where everything was data. We had free to play games because all that mattered was like what the data was being from behind. Same thing with Facebook. Like Facebook it didn't matter. It was all about the data that it had. And then, to your point, we came back into a subscription pay model with this world. And then, like, people cared, but they didn't care as much, it seems like. But now with AI, when all these models are being trained on everybody's data, consortium data, network data, all of these things seems to be back again. And I always tell people all the time, because, I've been in the fraud space for a really long time.
I was just going to say that.
Like,
data's always been one of the most
But for me, it was
fraud.
like what I could write a rule on was the data. Right. Like, I didn't care as much.
And that's
I didn't
exactly
do analytics on the data.
Like, you had
now.
data, but it wasn't as valuable because you couldn't have the power to get out of it what you needed to.
And when we started getting our rule sets on our data points, like in the hundreds of points, it was like, okay. I remember one time I was using threat metrics, and I was looking at like all the info, all the data that they could bring in from a single session, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? Like, it's overwhelming. It was actually overwhelming because there was too much. And that's where we started the world started bringing in these machine learning models and like the AI algorithms, like that could now take all of that data and make something of it quicker than I could even like write a single rule about it. And that was really, really
But when you were doing that, Jordan, you had to prepare that data to feed it into the machine learning models. You had to collect external data sources. You had to put it all cohesively and then run the models, right?
Yeah, then we had to.
that's what
then we
people
would
don't
screw up
understand.
running the model, and then the model would be a bad model.
But I think that's a good point. There is that a lot of people don't understand the infrastructure, the base that you need to create to actually apply AI to data. You have to,
And everyone has data. To Chase's point, like most companies do have a data lake. I would expect at least the
hope
ones
so.
that the sizes of the ones that we're talking to, they do. But do they have data that is AI ready?
Right.
That is very different.
Go
and that
on.
is like having all of the data is one thing, and that's the first step. But being able to have AI ready data that is usable by LLMs for different use cases, that's the hard part. And that is why 92% of all POCs today in the US are failing, because they're trying to use bad data and LLMs that are standardized or generalized, and that's like they're not able to deliver on a value or on a KPI for the business.
So to me, as a non-technical person, it seems like I could just dump all this, like every signal that I have, into a database, some SQL database somewhere, let's say, and data lake is probably the more appropriate for this level of data. And then just slap a model quote on top of it and be good to go. Now, I know that there's more that goes into it than that, but what does data need to be AI ready? Like, what do you need to do with it? That's
a great question. But it's everything from formatting, structure, pre-processing it, cleaning it. I'll give you a very basic and dumb examples. Your addresses, are they all standardized? NYC, New York City, New York.
Yeah.
But like an AI to be able to really understand the patterns behind all of it and not get lost in like those stupid variations that don't really matter, you can't just feed it and dump it unlimited number of sources.
Shouldn't that be like what AI is supposed to be able to do, is like make sense of the dirty too?
Yeah, but it lacks context. So part of getting the data ready is you also need to apply the context. And then if you're talking about payments, there's what I call semi-static data out there that you need to account for. You need to account for how Visa calculates chargeback ratios, or you need to account for interchange pricing. I call them semi-static because we know they change, but there's a period of time where they stay the same. And so we have to account for external data points that provide the context so that our customers can get the value out of the data.
That's cool.
So there's context, and that's kind of what he's talking about as well, is getting the data AI ready, but it's also getting like the environment ready. So when we work with a company, everything we're doing for them is bespoke, right? Like we don't apply the same context to two different businesses because they're different businesses.
That was really cool. That was really cool.
Well, I learned a lot very quickly.
Yeah, you've only been there like 2 weeks.
And
like, what's going on over here?
And I love this stuff. That's why we're having so much fun. But yeah,
I think so. Add some more. Keep going on that, because I think it's super interesting. Like, I never thought about like adding interchange rates or anything like that to it, because it's just, for me, it's so dynamic all the time. Like, well, not interchange, but like FX rates and currency conversions and those sorts of things.
You got to account for that stuff too, right? So there's the real-time data, right? And then there's semi-static, and then you've got the actual company's data, and that all needs to go together, and you need to be able to get value out of it.
Because I think like right now it seems like everybody is, so we are trying, our company has a big AI push. Trying to talk
You're not
about my
alone.
company. Really? I thought we were ahead of the curve on this. But it's something that like every team is kind of working on their own things, but working with their own suppliers and vendors. So like the products team, is trying to have better suggestions on products.
Yeah.
And they're looking at companies to do that. The customer service, obviously, always wanting to be faster, more accurate with their responses, less callbacks, those sorts of things, trying to use AI there. And then there's me, I've been using AI in our space, like since for 4 years at my company. We brought in a tool. That's why it's so funny. We had a directive that came out earlier this year. They're like, you must use AI at least 30% of your day. And I was like,
they want you to be more efficient.
But I was like, I already did that just 4 years ago. Just because everybody else just now has ChatGPT doesn't mean that
it's
I
so much more
do
advanced
that.
now, though, to be fair, than what you were using 4 years ago.
But there's actually something very interesting in what you're saying that I hadn't thought about before. Payments teams have already addressed LLMs or machine learning earlier on. Maybe just the same as much as like the marketing teams. But like I feel that the rest of the areas in the company are not necessarily used to deploying or leveraging AI for this level of insights.
And it's interesting, 'cause we'll often start with the payments team, right? That's like we're payment centric, right? But we start with the payments team, but we go beyond the payments team. I mean, payments is how many data points per transaction? Rex?
638 direct and indirect data points per transaction.
Per transaction.
So
Yes,
that
you
can
extract
impact.
when you own the checkout. That's like the airport. Like you have to check in, you have to show your password, you have to check like your ticket, and all that information is in a central place. But no one is leveraging it to unlock growth or detect revenue leakages across the entire business.
But what I want to add there is that so you take those data points and you can impact many other areas of the business besides payments. So we've helped marketing teams, get an edge in competition on having the right products ready at the right time.
So for us, it's more than ever like marketing and payments are coming together because
Think about subscriptions.
They're trying to show like local payment methods because we're a global company. They want make sure that we have what their customers are asking for, what they need to through marketing.
They're using payments to acquire new customers.
Yes,
that's powerful.
I started doing that. Well, I personally didn't start doing that, but I started seeing us doing that at Ticketmaster when we had our partnerships team and Jacqueline at the time were working really closely to like forge like how this company would pay to have their button higher, or American Express would have their branding be the first on there, and that was like little things that we're doing. But like when you come into like these like emerging markets where there's like really 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 small payment methods that like people like Pix is probably the easiest example because most people understand that one because it happened so fast and it was so quick. Like basically, if you didn't have that, you weren't getting sales anymore.
Right.
And it's one of those things where marketing's trying to push all these products, these product launches, but then they don't have a way to buy it from us because we don't have what they need to make that purchase, And that's something that I think is, to your point, is like these teams, it's coming together. These parts of the business that have never been working together now are coming together. But with the AI thing, like, to your point, is like we've been doing AI smart routing.
Yeah.
AI decisioning on our stuff.
Data-driven decisioning.
Yes, it's big data. Big data, the biggest data. But for years, like I can't think. We have.
That's why it's such a great place to.
But you've been doing it, and everyone has. Like as an industry, we've been doing it for the sake of cost cutting, and like payments has historically been a cost cutting like area of the company. But right now, thanks to AI, you can turn that around. And I think what you're mentioning as the first hints that payments and marketing can start working together because of the data, because of leveraging the data for insights, but also because of the developing economies that are increasingly more relevant.
So we do so much business in Africa, for example, and that was like, I think most companies still completely overlook that place. And like we do great there because we found that there's data and there's ways to do it, and we made it work. And it's like we found the local payment methods, we integrated it, we did it, and it's like unlocking so much. Like these small economies, to your point, that no one's ever really thought about. We're finding millions of dollars in sales every year because they want stuff too, like they want vitamins too, and it's super wild. Like I mean, I will say for AI, and so say what you want about social media, but it made the world smaller. These things have made the world smaller and other things more accessible to other people. Like just getting information from a chat GPT and being able to ask it instead. In Google, you can do it, but you got to find it.
I have a really good example
Go
of that.
for it, baby.
So when I was trying, I needed to do something legally, and I didn't want to hire an attorney because I didn't think it warranted paying an attorney. But it was such a hard thing to do on my own. It was written by the legal lobbyists because it was so hard for me to manage on my own. But ChatGPT actually allowed me to bypass a law firm and get my issue solved. And it did everything for me, from creating the documents in the exact format that they were supposed to be, and the instructions on where to go take them and get notarized. And it was really, it was exciting. And so to your point, I think it's impacting so many industries. I was talking to my buddy who's in the legal industry, and he's in the tech side of it as well. And he's saying like, you're going to see a lot of these jobs go away, right? And I know we talk about that kind of stuff. I don't think it's as scary as it sounds, right? That's how things evolve. But going back to the AI use case, and I know we're not talking about payments or anything like that, but it was super interesting. I think it's super interesting to tag onto that.
So because I have guest hosts on this show, like that are they're not employees, but they get paid to host these other shows. Like Jacqueline and Cambria are paid people. I don't just take their services for free, but they all have agreements. And I did the same thing as I needed to make a legal agreement, and I chat GPT'd it. And you know what was super crazy is like things I would have never thought to put in if I just hand wrote it. Like it's just like jumping in like standard clauses and everything. And I was like, damn, I would have never put that in there. And I could have potentially been screwed, you know?
Oh, no, I've seen our other co-founder, Chema, using ChatGPT to like, as we enter the US market, because it's like, it's a new space and he can just like easily find out what he needs and then, you know, make everybody that we're trying to hire in the US excited, you know, happy. And, you know, you got to have certain things in place that are new for Deuna, right? And being able to leverage AI to make it so much more efficient and easy. You don't have to hire a consultant to enter a new market.
God, Capgemini is shaking in their boots right now. So let's talk about that then. What we talked about on the walk is a little bit. I mean, we still been jam on the data thing a little bit more too. But like, there's gonna be job loss. There is job loss happening now. I mean, Salesforce isn't even like shy about saying it. Like, to your point, you said what happens if 50% of people don't have work anymore? You know, but it seems to be like it's spawning new jobs and new industries too. You know, like
it's like manufacturing.
You can say the same thing about like the automobile too, you know, and like Uber. You're like when the taxi drivers, they were never going to have their work ever again. Now they just drive Ubers. So, sorry, but.
Or it's like Las Vegas, they make it too hard for the Ubers to operate well.
Is that
I don't know. Taxis are
this
so
is
much
the only
easier
place.
here.
This is the only place I ever take cabs.
Same.
Like ever.
I don't mess with Ubers here. Yeah.
Well, you know, now that at least that they made it that you can pay with a card, like guaranteed in a cab,
it's a
little
law.
It's a little easier, but
and the fares are all preset.
So I noticed when I came, the guy from the airport yesterday, it was a straight $29 fee, which I know that's supposed to be, but especially at LAX, that you never get the the standard fee. Yeah, they used to always try and take you to the ATM. But I just would call the dispatch and be like, I'll just run the card that way. Then magically the machine would start working every time. But those are old school days. But yeah, and then like, dude, the guy, like I've had two drivers here, by the way, and so we're just going on a tangent, that have been hyper aggressive, cutting through other casinos, through the parking lots at other casinos, like the garages. Like they always cut through Treasure Island.
That's because of the F1 stuff, because they're preparing for the F1 race.
I mean, I honestly don't care.
As long they got to maneuver around, I
honestly don't care as long as he gets me back here quicker.
Yeah, they should be using AI to optimize their route.
You know what? If only.
I'm trying to take us back.
Yeah. So let's talk about let's talk about the job loss, and let's finish up on the data thing, and then let's go to talk about what we're going to do with jobs. So, tell me more about clean data and what it does and how you can do it and what you guys are doing with the clean data. Tell me that.
Perfect. Once you have AI-ready data and you have agents that understand the context of your business, your KPIs, your priorities, how you think. Conversion rates are different between airlines, or they're different between an airline and a movie theater, or a telco, or a retailer, or an online platform. And being able to give it that context, specific of the company, specific of the industry, across all the countries, across all the processors, across all of their customers, and all of the additional data points of each transaction, that becomes key in order to be able to ask AI really what's up with your business. And even more so, to have an AI that can actually proactively surface those insights for you.
So this is what I've been saying. So this is what I've been saying for a long time is like, you know, I'm on a couple of these customer advisory boards at some of these companies, and they're like, well, what do you want? I was like, I don't want a list of data anymore. I want something to tell me what I'm supposed to be looking at on this list of data.
That's funny. So how we started building Athia was about 2.5 years ago. And we saw that orchestration and checkout weren't going to be the next billion-dollar business, right? And we were looking at how much data we had because we had the checkout on like other payment infrastructure providers. And we showed KFC and Domino's how many dashboards we had. We had over 400 dashboards of their own data. And they were like, this is very impressive, but I'm not going to sit down every single day, 10 hours a day to look at your 400 dashboards. Which one matters, why, and what should I do about it? And I'm like, baffled. Do you need anything else? And they go, no. If it does that, it'll like chew the food for me and I'll be happy. And that's what we started building with them together in order to make their data and their inputs equal the outputs that their team would surface. And like it's very funny that you mentioned that. That's how we built her.
That I think is the problem. Is like, you know, Tableau was like, you know, so many people, Looker, even Pagos, you know, which is, I think is a great product. It gives me information, but like I sometimes it's like, okay, what now?
We
you know?
don't, yeah, and I think that's the point, is we don't want our customers, our users, to have to go into Athia and do anything. Unless they want on-demand information via Ask Athia, they can have a natural language conversation, find out whatever they want. But we look to proactively surface actionable insights.
Because I always love, like, hey, is something going on in the UAE? Because there's like 10x more sales.
That's what you
like,
can do.
That's what I want.
You probably have 10 questions a day that you just don't even address because you'd have to do a lot of work to answer them. And so the idea is we want to make that instant, right? Or we make that instant.
And then and you're saying that you can make it so could I set parameters too in there that would like take corrective action? Essentially,
absolutely.
She'll learn from you.
Yeah.
She'll it's not a plug and play. During onboarding, we adapt her to your use cases, to your KPIs, to your context, and she learns. Like if you tell her, by the way, I don't want this to be like something you flag in the future, she'll remember that.
Yeah, and then I think what you might have been going towards was also the workflows. So we can do something as basic as send an email about something actionable or an insight or intelligence, or we could have a webhook into a system, internal system, third-party system, or we could actually take the action. Right, route traffic from on that bin from processor A to processor B because there's better rates.
Because that's where I'm going. Or like if there's an FX lock on one processor versus another,
so think about it this way,
or your minimum thresholds of volume, or you're about to hit a chargeback limit, and the network is going to apply penalties,
and switch over to another one,
or use network token. In this case, like you can leverage intelligence in so many aspects. But again, payments is just where we're getting started because that's where we have the most knowledge.
I think for
there's such great data.
Well, and then we did a change and it moved our needle on our payments 3 points, overnight. But people don't realize how much of a win that is when you're in a multi-billion-dollar company,
Oh yeah,
And this is what I always say. I even say it on the show is fraud and chargebacks are basis points, and but authorizations are full points.
We help some of the most sophisticated businesses add basis points or reduce basis. The littlest, these guys are just constantly trying to chip away and get better. I mean, they could have 98, 99% acceptance rates, and they want to get more.
But that's exactly when you want something that's not only human, but helping your human team think with perfect awareness of everything that's happening, every single data point analyzed, to tell your human team, hey, take a look here, proactive.
I think it's like the same thing is happening to me again, is where I have all these Tableau KPI dashboards. And it's, once again, it's becoming overwhelming data. It's like, I have all of this data that if I want it and I need it, it's there. But when I look at it, my eyes just gloss over sometimes because I'm like, it's too much. Like, there's too much insight.
You're not a data
Tell
scientist.
me what I need to be gleaning. So we try to break it apart to have individual teams and team members look at their specific KPIs and their specific things that they do, because then that becomes like they own it. It matters to them, So tell me more about your actual product.
So Athia is our agentic intelligence platform. She's built to help turn your data and inputs into outputs with your context, with your KPIs. The reason why we built her was because we actually started as a checkout and a payment infrastructure, doing everything from orchestration, reconciliations, subscriptions, settlements for the largest players, the largest airlines, supermarkets, telcos, retailers, QSRs, quick service restaurants, to the tune of right now, to give you a sense, Mexico, it's about 27-30% of the online GDP goes through our infrastructure, our checkout.
Of the whole country?
Of the whole country's online volume, yes. And double digits in other countries in South America. So that gave us so much data in a lot of different industries with the largest airlines, like LATAM Airlines or like Volaris.
I get the cup noodles on that, baby.
and there's more that we're getting right now that they're already ramped up and onboarded. I just don't have clarity whether I can announce everything.
I understand.
But also the largest movie theaters, Cinépolis, that's the second or third largest movie chain worldwide. We power their checkout. We power their payment infrastructure. And that allowed us, or what we saw was, hey, this is a really cool business, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be the next Google. However, with the data that we have, can we turn it into something much more meaningful and something that can reshape or redefine commerce in the future? And we started playing again with all this data that we had. We went to KFC, we went to Domino's, also our clients in several countries, and they were like, let's turn that into insights. And we started working with them. So unlike everyone else in the valley that is trying to build AI, like Anathia that works, who are doing so without merchant relationships, who are doing so without their data.
Yeah, I'm always weirded out by these AI companies that don't have any clients. Like, what are you AI?
Right, you need data.
Like, is it just a white label Chat GPT? Like, what is it? Like,
Exactly. And I mean, and you know, his story and their outlook, you know, their vision is what drew me in, right? Because my experience, I'm experienced with orchestration and payments for a long time, and I agree with that sentiment. And when I realized, like, oh, we want to go expand and really drive growth in the U.S. market, and we want to do it leveraging Athia, leveraging agentic intelligence, I was like, it's spot on. I was like, that's the journey. That's the right journey, right?
Yeah.
And it's tough. Like, you haven't seen a lot of other providers able to do that, right? And I think it's a testament to the fact that, you know, 90% of our company is technical. We've got like serious experts on all fronts. Like, they've invested in the right areas of the business then to take this vision and make it a reality. And this is how you build a $10 billion company, in my opinion.
Much bigger.
Well, you said $1 billion earlier.
I was being short-sighted.
he was being humble. He said $1 billion by the end of the year.
Yeah. So it's meaning. I think these guys are on the right track, and for me, it hits home.
So it's kind of a shorty episode here where we're going through some of this stuff, and we'll come back to what you guys a little more how they can find you. Let's talk a little bit about your predictions, because, you know, agentic AI is everywhere. You have an AI agent yourselves. What do you think the top three, like here at Money 2020, if I was to go downstairs and I should be looking at three different things, what should I be trying to get information about right now, besides you guys?
That's a great question. I would start with how to leverage AI and data capabilities for whatever basic use cases you already have. I believe that one of the reasons why 92% of all pilots are failing out right now in the US is not only because of the lack of AI ready data, but also the lack of alignment in what KPIs the POCs are going to move. So I would focus first on like identifying what's the most basic thing that you can actually leverage, any low-hanging fruit that will solve and add value as a wedge to start building off of that. The second I would tell you is regarding agentic commerce. We're still very early on that, and I think that there's a lot of buzzwords around it because agentic...
People keep
There's a massive lack of understanding.
They keep muddying up what agentic commerce is.
No, we can call it token commerce because it is only like it's using the same tokenization principles that we've always used them.
You're gonna make Arthur sweat. He hears this. He's gonna be kicking the door down, saying yes.
But really, like I do think that there's an opportunity right now in agentic commerce to not get disintermediated as a brand.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want 5 years from now to be a consumer brand today, a very big consumer brand today, that loses their touch and their relationship with the customers, and that then they can be white labeled or redirected to your competitors. So I think that agentic commerce, from the perspective of not being disintermediated, from the perspective of understanding how to be positioned in front of those agents, GEO, I think they call it instead of SEO, right? And the third is, now that you already have basics and you're already covering the angle on agentic commerce, I would make sure that, like, especially for large companies that are in like dozens of countries with many processors and many configs, there's a lot of revenue leakages there that are not being detected real time. They're being detected 2 weeks from now, and maybe the problem is not even there 2 weeks from now, but it didn't surface earlier. And I think that the teams that start leveraging AI to find those revenue leakages, not only in payments, but maybe starting with payments and going elsewhere, including marketing, user segmentation, user insurance. Like, I think that would be my three focuses.
And I want to piggyback on his agentic
because you got
commerce
three too.
Part.
I need your three.
Oh, well, but it's like, I've got a good friend who runs payments and risk at a really big retailer who's known for their customer relationships, right?
Say
their
the name
customer
of the retailer.
experience. And they're building an internal agent that is basically connects to the external agents so that they're in complete control of the customer conversation. So it's like they don't want the conversation being run by a different entity. They are actually they're embracing agentic commerce, and they're saying we're building out so we can own this.
I think
that's what you need. That's what you need to be doing. And if you can't build it internally, to Rex's point, you should be finding out who can help you do that. And then I'll add, identity. Cool. Agentic commerce. Well,
You're gonna
merchants
lose.
need to know who's coming to their
Because
site.
we need the
and buy-
AI data.
Right, well, and and we're partnering with some identity companies as well, because we want to make sure that merchants are able to understand who's on their site buying stuff, right?
Okay.
And that's a very interesting area that people are. I mean, there's definitely people in our world thinking about it, but not as much as it should be.
So my thing with like the agent stuff, because
I mean, you need to be thinking.
I'm
about
on these. Well, I do, and I've surfaced the conversations, and I've done a lot of stuff internally about it. I think what you're gonna is there's, to your point earlier, there's a lack of understanding of what these AI agents are. And what I was saying even last night when we were having dinner was like it's going to boil down to intent. Like, what is the agent's intent? Is at the end of the day. But it looks like a headless browser. It looks like nothing.
Think about it. So there's good agent, good human.
Yeah.
Good agent, bad human.
Yeah.
Bad human,
So
good agent.
some of
Like
the-
you have to account for all of those use cases.
You do, and some of the tools are making it a little easier. But here's the thing: is I think that right now, because it's so fresh but so fast, that you're seeing a lot of like DevOps and the bot people at companies like have a really quick knee-jerk reaction to just block it all. And then even if it's just like searching, it's not, if you're not letting it like transact, still blocking that traffic.
That's because they don't have the identity.
And then the next thing you know,
But I have a question for you.
yeah.
Are they really being able to block it? Like right now, are you really being able to identify every single type of agent? Because I think that's where it gets scarier.
So-
And if you block everything from Perplexity, now everybody who pays them a monthly subscription is getting blocked. They can't pay. It's crazy.
Well, no,
it's really
the thing
complicated.
is like I like even if they're not transacting, I want my site to be on that list of whatever somebody's searching for, because I don't want it blocked. Because if someone's trying to find like
of
a
course.
T-shirt,
you need to embrace it.
yes, you need to, and like
In the
and
right
that's
way.
where like all of a sudden like let's say somebody goes to buy a T-shirt. I don't sell T-shirts, but I did, let's say, and they go and I block it. So then they buy a T-shirt at some other company and they like it. Then they start ordering more T-shirts from that same company. Like I just lost a lifelong customer because I was an idiot and just blocked something that was super low hanging fruit that would have been easy to just like step back, understand. But to your point, we have been seeing, not me on my site, but some of my partners that I work with, friends of the show, have been seeing agents pretend to be other things to get around those blocks, switch user agents, wipe their own cookies, do all sorts of crazy shit to try and they're just doing it on their own.
But I think going back to my other example, like for yourself, right? It's not always about price, and I think that's if you don't control the conversation as the brand, you're gonna fall into this thing where you're
need to start. You're the GEO, right? Like show me a black shirt that's $19.99 and has 4.5 stars or better. Has no side seams. Something like that. And like people are gonna have to start writing that. Like I think we spent so much time in customer experience optimizing sites for people to be on the sites. You have to find a way to optimize your site now for people that aren't ever going to ever see your site.
Exactly, and I think that goes again back to that example of creating that interface that allows you to control the conversation as the retailer. That's super interesting to me.
There's 2 points that are come to mind right now. The first one is there's also going to be a hybrid, like browsers. You just saw ChatGPT right now release their own
Still
browser.
looks like a browser,
But like it's much harder to be able to really detect whether it's a human or just an agent or a human through an agentic browser. And I think that there's going to be a lot of different configs here that agentic commerce can take. Like they can be using a prepaid debit card.
They could buy something without you telling it to because they've learned what you need.
But that's where now.
Yeah, it better be making sure I got enough money left in my bank account before it goes and starts buying shit for me.
But
It's like
also
treat yourself. I treated you.
something very interesting I've seen is that for example some of the networks, one of the largest network, they're requiring your chat conversation as part of the data intake to give you an agentic token.
To try and to do liability or something.
Yeah,
Are they looking like biometrics almost? It's not really biometrics.
It's to see how the chat. It's to see that in the chat that you gave it the permission. You granted it permission to go conduct a purchase. But that is being recorded in the chat, and so whoever sends that needs to be able to send.
So one of the things that I think is I think we're going to see the adoption. As like I said, I said it on stage last week.
Going to see the adoption. What's the stats on?
No, it's Well, it's about
search going to
25% of people are searching, but they're not transacting. It's about 1% of all transactions are agentic right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
I search, but I don't buy personally. But I know when I cross that threshold, that's all I'm gonna do. Like I'm only gonna buy. I know me because it's the same thing as like I didn't ever want to use like the to write LinkedIn posts with AI with emojis because I thought it was like super ridiculous. But then I did it once and it was like so easy and got so much interaction that I just do it all the time now. And like, well, even Drew from dinner last night, he put up a thing. He's like, I could see when all your posts, not to me, but it was like a demo. I can see when all your posts are by AI, and I just put nope in there. Like I'm doing it anyway.
But that's you use AI to make yourself more efficient with that, right? It's still your words. You either prompted it.
I heavily modify what they put out.
Yeah, exactly. You either gave it guidelines and then you gave it feedback and you iterated, right? But that's just becoming more efficient. I don't even think that's not cheating. That's being smart. It's still
Thank you.
It's still
That's what I do. I do smart shit all the time.
It's like the calculator just got way better.
Yeah. So, and that's what I was going to say is like, like we're coming back to the jobs thing, and I don't want to get into it too much, but like every major technology thing has cost jobs. Every single thing. Phones, switchboards, operators, all these different things. There's other things that are going to exist that become that are going to need to exist.
So we have to invest in education.
We don't do that here.
I know.
So,
I agree with you. I think that there's going to be an upskilling and a reskilling of a lot of the workforce, like we have seen in previous transformations, like throughout history. Now, this is the first time where the transformation has intelligence that is independent of human interaction necessarily. What do I mean by that? It's always been a force multiplier. And in this case, it is. It is still a force multiplier for humans. Mm-hmm. However, the fact that it can also act without humans, this is the first one that we've reached in terms of a digital transformation or a change that big.
So we're all fucked.
There's going to be an impact, and I think that it will require societal conversations about the topic.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people looking at safe AI, right? How do we make AI, not destroy the world, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? But I think the other side's moving way quicker.
The good side or the bad side?
I don't want to call it bad, but I just think
That's
unregulated. It's unregulated. It's the Wild West.
So I will say, one of the things, I appreciate that ChatGPT and Gemini and all that have tried to put guardrails on it. But there's a lot that don't have the guardrails.
Absolutely. And it's so easy.
Those are the ones that they're going to do the damage. So
I mean, you can get instructions on how to commit friendly fraud through ChatGPT innocently, right?
Yeah, you just have to keep prompting until you can eventually get around.
Or you download a DeepSeek model and you just prompt it without any restrictions, and you run it locally in your computer.
DeepSeek's still a thing.
Yeah, and they're getting very good at different.
That was the one that was training. They said they did it for $6 million or something crazy, right? It was super cheap. And
they're even lower now, at how efficient they've been able to become.
We put up in House of Fraud once. We put up Brian put up prompts to help fraud people with their day, and
like memes.
No, I mean we do a lot of memes in there, but no, but it was prompts that you could use to help make your day.
Oh, it's not
do
not
your job
inspirational.
Better. Yeah, just prompts. And dude, some people in there were pissed about AI and the environmental, how much energy it takes to do it. People are big mad about some of that stuff. I know you're vegan because you want to save the environment, but I mean, you're over here using ChatGPT all day. You're offset.
It's a good cow,
bro.
It's a really good point. I'm not an expert on that though. But I know that there's companies buying nuclear power or leasing nuclear power plants.
That's fine. We need that
to power these data centers.
I don't think we're going to see the energy gap, the requirements of energy required by AI, close within our lifetime. Probably.
Yeah. You're always going to be running a deficit on it.
At least for the next couple dozen years, yes. There's always going to be the need for more.
Yeah.
Well, and what did Elon Musk say recently?
A lot of
with
things.
all but it was a good quote this time, and it was something about energy being finite, and that's going to be the main. That's going to be the currency.
It was always energy and water were always going to be the two things that the world boils down to at the end of the day. Until we can unlock fusion, which ain't going to happen, so to steal the sun. But it's just not we're never going to have enough to your point. Like,
and it was around.
Everybody should have solar panels on their roof, but you know what? They gotta. Maybe AI can help us with making solar panels less scammy.
Well, now I remember it was around Bitcoin because you use so much energy to mine Bitcoin, and you were saying like that's creating currency value, the energy, you know, and I think it applies to the AI as well.
All right, as we wrap up, we need to talk about your guys and your company and what you're doing and all these things and all the stuff that you use. We talked a little bit about it already, but why don't you tell me the story of your company? How did it exist? Who are you?
The story of your company.
It's very, very light question to wrap things
What
up.
do you think about? What do you think about? No, never mind. Go ahead.
No, to tell you more about our story, we started during COVID and we wanted to level the playing field. We wanted to provide capabilities to every single merchant so that they could sell online, like the biggest players, like the marketplaces or the aggregators, delivery apps. And we started with a checkout, a one-click checkout, very similar to a Shop Pay and a Stripe link. We saw a very big wedge into that, and actually, like, it's grown a lot. But that took us very quickly into payment infrastructure, because in order to provide a checkout across airlines, across movie theaters, across telcos, across retailers, etc., quick service restaurants, you have to also power their payment infrastructure. You have to tokenize, you have to send it to their providers. And so we did all of that.
So you have your own token thing too?
We work
with
we have
partners.
our own, and but we also have our own.
We have an internal vault and an external vault.
Yes.
Oh. So if I already had a partner and I came on, I could still use my.
Absolutely.
100%.
Oh yeah, that's not important to us.
Yeah, not
It's
at all.
important to me.
Well, right.
For you, yes.
Yes.
And what we realized was that checkout and payment infrastructure weren't going to be the next big thing, that they were more of a means to an end, and that it was part of our land and expand strategy. So in the last 20 months, we went from less than 1% of Mexico's online volume, online GDP, to over 27-30% of Mexico's online volume and GDP.
And it's online too. Do you do any in-person stuff too?
We're starting to, yes.
Nice.
Yes. Now we're working with some of the major airlines in the airports physically, some of the quick service restaurants at their kiosks. That's already live.
And for us, it doesn't really matter. We're sending the transaction data to the provider, like, so we're pretty agnostic on who the merchants can work with, whoever they want. We'll whatever we do, we make it. We layer on top.
And to just wrap it up, like about 2.5 years ago, with the advent of everything regarding LLMs, we were looking at how can we actually turn all this data into insights. And so from my time at Stanford, when we started the company with Chema, and where we started with a checkout and payment infrastructure, to about 2.5 years ago, we were really focused on building the capabilities to allow us to earn the trust of these large merchants. Volaris, for example, Cinépolis, that's the second or third largest movie chain worldwide. And what that allowed us was we were able to go to KFC and Domino's and show them, hey, we have all this data, 400 dashboards. And they were like, that's very cool. You have more data than we do and better quality, but I'm not going to sit down to watch 400 dashboards every day. Tell me which one matters and why, and what I should do about it. And so we started working with them 2 years ago in order to actually build an AI that works for enterprise, that can detect revenue leakages across the board with like very granular precision, different countries, different processors, different customer segments, etc. And that's what we're leveraging now with all of our large merchants.
Excellent. That is Stanford, huh?
Yes.
I haven't been to that campus in a while. It's been about a few years.
People are excited about what we're doing. I mean, the feedback is intense.
I'm hearing the name a lot.
I just had 3 meetings earlier today, and every single one,
Did they buy it right here?
Well, they're
On the
like,
spot.
the comment that hit home with me was, "This is exactly what I've been looking for," and it's one of the largest. It's one of the largest car companies in the world.
What are you saying to them? Like, what are you showing them that it's exactly
I'm
the dashboards?
I'm
like,
showing them how Athia works.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm showing them a demo of our AI-powered payments insights platform. Yeah. So I'm showing them a demo. I'm showing them how they can have a natural language conversation with Athia and get any insights that they need, any intelligence that they need instantly. Then I'm showing them how we take their most important KPIs and we apply an individual agent to each one. That agent learns quickly, has all the context, and after a short amount of time, it starts proactively surfacing intelligence. That could be something, that could be, hey, go do this, go start routing this traffic from this bin to this processor to increase. It could be something like that. It could be an alert. There could be a downgrade or an outage. So we don't want our customers to have to do work. We want to provide the insights to them. And then lastly, we can funnel it into their systems through workflows. We can make the adjustments on their behalf. We can just notify them. They can decide. But that was talking about building trust. So we can start off by providing you the intelligence. You get comfortable, and then we could automate.
Then I can turn up the heat.
Crawl, walk, run. Right.
So then do you guys integrate directly with the PSPs that I use?
Exactly. So we make it easy to get started. Yeah. No technical work.
Well, how do I find you guys? Don't forget to spell it. There'll be a QR code on the screen, everybody. It's probably popped up a couple of times by now. But use the QR code if you want to make it nice and easy. There will be links to...
So Chase's phone number is...
I will put it in there, but about 100,000 people are going to see it on YouTube. So that might get a little weird.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. So I will put links to them in the actual description of this. I will put links to both of you guys, your LinkedIn. Awesome. And please send them messages. Use the contact form. It's a pretty cool product. It's sexy. People like sexy.
Valuable.
These days.
It provides a lot of value.
That too. Well, thank you both for your time. Any closing words?
No, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Jordan.
Yeah, well, let's get back downstairs.
Not only,
go on.
You're not only a trusted payments and risk expert, but you're one of my best friends. So really, really appreciate this.
I love you.
And I'm proud of what you built here.
Thank you. Thank you for keep coming on the show. Thank you for bringing your boss on the show.
Of course.
That's always nice to have.
Yeah,
too.
it's the best.
Yeah. And thank you for taking the time out of Money 2020. Everybody else, I hope you had a good Money 2020 if you were here. If I didn't wave at you, I apologize. Just got to be louder next time.
You can recognize you.
Yeah, come on. I'm damn near on the billboard. All right, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.